Hot takes, insider info, intriguing interviews, we have it all here for you. You're listening to the Green Machine Podcast.
Connor looking for three in the corner, bottom.
Gets up and rises up like a salmon.
You're listening to the Green Machine Podcast with Kyle and Micah.
Hey guys, it's another episode of the Green Machine Podcast. It is 8:30 in the morning, way past my bedtime. But we got a special guest this morning. I don't know if you know him, Coach Mark Madsen, UVU men's basketball team. How are you doing this morning, Coach?
Kyle, doing great. I just played with my 2-year-old for an hour and a half and just kind of starting the workday now. I'm doing great. How are you guys?
I think we're good.
We're all doing good. Doing great.
Nice. Coach,
it's been kind of an exciting week and a half for you and your staff and your team, and I mean, talk about the recruits that you've brought in a little bit. This last week, there's been 4 of them that are signed, and I know that you still got some more that maybe you're looking at. But talk about how excited you've been this last week and what you've accomplished.
Well, I mean, first of all, it's been a phenomenal week of signing great players, and I'll kind of go back in time and start with Wednesday, when we actually signed 2 players formally on Wednesday. Latrey Darthard out of Texas, and obviously Asa McCord, who's a local guy. Played high school ball here in the area and then went up to Salt Lake Community. Both are fantastic players. They both shoot it over 40% from 3. Latrey is probably one of the top defenders in the country coming out of JUCO. Latrey is a guy who can guard multiple positions, switch on the point guards. He could be the top of a 1-3-1 zone if you needed him to be. You got Asa McCord, who averaged about 8 rebounds a game in not heavy minutes. Asa, also a great shooter, and man, Asa has a nose for the ball. You watch him on tape and you say to yourself, he attacks rebounds almost the way Dennis Rodman used to. Obviously a different position, but it's exciting. It's exciting. On Thursday, we signed Blaze Neild. Blaze is a player. When I first took the job at UVU, we were involved in recruiting Blaze. He went to BYU, and after a year, he decided that to look for something else. And so he put his name into the portal. We contacted him. But one of the things I like about Blaze is his leadership. He plays the point guard. He can do a little bit of everything. He can shoot the 3. He can penetrate and finish. He picks players up full court, and he's tough. You can't teach the toughness side of things at all. On Friday, it was great because the letters of intent just kept on streaming in. They kept on streaming in last week. Trey Ferrer, out of Snow College, and you look at what Trey can do. And I talked about this publicly when we signed him, but he had a game this last year where he went 14 for 14 from the field. That's unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, guys like Shaq, Yao Ming, Kevin Durant, these guys, they might do that a few times in their career at any level, but to go 14 for 14 is unbelievable. It's an accomplishment. It's like going to the top of Mount Everest. The thing I like about Trey is I think Trey over time is going to be able to really knock down that 3 ball. He can shoot it right now, but I think, I've challenged him, and I think he wants to embrace it. I think he shot a lot of 3s in practice last year at Snow, and he took some throughout the course of his career, but we're going to really challenge him to extend out and to do that even more, and to work on it, because I think he has the capability to do it. He's a great shooter already, especially from mid-range. Monday morning, Evan Cole out of Georgia Tech. Evan was obviously one of the top players in the country. I mean, he was being talked about, all the top lists, ESPN, those things. I mean, his phone was blowing up. Scholarship offers, people wanted him to commit right away. And let's talk about why. Well, when you watch tape on Evan, it becomes very clear that Evan has worked extremely hard on his skill level. I mean, he can shoot threes. He can drive it to the rim and finish in different types of ways. Evan athletically is kind of an anomaly. He's 6'10", 225, but he runs like a wing or a guard. There was one clip of him, I can't remember if it was NC State or somebody else as an opponent, but he ended up guarding the other team's point guard, and the point guard was trying to go around him, and he couldn't. I mean, Evan just slid with him the entire time. One of the things, so Evan averaged, 12, 13 minutes on a stacked Georgia Tech team and averaged 4 points, 4 rebounds. Well, as one who knows, I mean, Evan he didn't get the quantity of minutes to merit huge numbers. But when his minutes go up, I mean, this guy is all about production. What I like about Evan also is his humility off the court. For all the success and accolades, he's a very down-to-earth guy.
Yeah, we talked to him yesterday, and he seemed like he had a great attitude and a great mindset about him. So it was kind of cool to listen to him talk, and I think, yeah, he's excited about what he's going to be able to do at Utah Valley. So yeah, I get where you're coming from there. Well, how has it been recruiting through Zoom for you? I mean, you're not able to bring recruits onto campus. You're not able to go to recruits' homes or, go visit them and stuff. What's it been like recruiting through Zoom?
Well, it's been a unique experience. Obviously, you want to fly a young man and his parents into Salt Lake City. You want to pick him up at the airport, take him to a steak dinner, sit down, and just without any time constraint, just talk, and get to know them. And then the next day you start showing them the facilities. You start laying out the vision that you have for the player. And so in a perfect world, that's what you want. You're able to really show the players what we're all about here at Utah Valley. And it's a great opportunity to get to know them on a deeper level. Obviously, that was taken from us. Right now, everyone's at home and nobody's flying on planes. So Zoom is the next best thing, Kyle. And we spent a long time trying to figure out how to do different things on Zoom, from visual tours to all types of different things to really show these recruits who we are and what we're about. I think the players that we've talked to, they've enjoyed it because they've gotten the chance to know us better.
So, Coach, a lot of the guys that you're bringing in with this class are underclassmen, like Asa and Latre are both going to be sophomores. So can you kind of describe to me the importance it's going to have these guys for, more than just 2 seasons, to have them around for a few years?
Well, I mean, there's several guys that are going to have 3 years to play. Obviously, Trey is one, Latre. And it's exciting because what you want to do is you want to build a culture. The transfer market is amazing, and in the situation of Evan Cole, it's perfect. I mean, I wish we had Evan Cole for more than just 1 year, but he'll be moving on to play professionally somewhere at the end of next season. And then to be able to get some younger guys with huge upside. I mean, they're already great players. And then you think about the upside potential that they have. It's very exciting for Utah Valley, and it's exciting for the program. It's exciting for the school.
Kind of on that note, bringing in Evan Cole, he only has 1 season left of eligibility, but what kind of an impact do you want him to leave with these younger guys moving forward?
Well, you watch, you get a feel of who Evan Cole is as a person and how he plays the game. You watch him play. I've enjoyed watching all the tape I have on Evan because he's out there playing and he's just snatching rebounds over the top of people. He's flying around on the court. People are bouncing off of him and falling to the ground. That's the type of strength that Evan plays with. There was one play, and I specifically talked about it, with Evan, he was covering a lot of different areas, making multiple efforts on defense, and he contested a shot, and he inadvertently elbowed the opponent right in the face, and the guy, his head snapped back, and he looked at the ref with his hands up like, give me a call. and what I like about that play, what I really, really like about that play, Tyler, is that, you know, first of all, on the court, there's going to be some physical contact. You're going to get hit in the face. You're going to get hit in the throat. You never want that to be intentional. You never want that to be a dirty play or a dirty player. And Evan's not, but he naturally punishes other players on the other team by playing so hard. That's what you want. I remember at the Lakers, we had Julius Randle, and Julius would shoot his left-handed jump hook. He would go up with his left hand, and this off arm, it would just naturally extend. He wasn't trying to hit people, but there was one play where we were playing the Houston Rockets, and I think within a 5-second span, Julius had smacked 3 other players right in the face, and guys are holding their head like this and looking at the ref, and it just happened so fast, and it was unintentional. And so the refs let it go. Again, Evan plays hard. Evan is skilled. Evan wants to be the best player he can be.
You know, to your point, Coach, you've added a lot of different types of talent, right? Like Evan with his physicality, you've added these guards who can move. I know you've got 11 players in scholarship spots, potential for 2 more. Are you looking to add a couple more players? And if you are, what are you looking for? What gaps are you trying to fill right now?
Well, we're always looking, number one. It's a great question. I mean, we're looking in April, we're looking in May, we're looking in December. We monitor that transfer portal every single day. We look at it. Not only do we look at it, but we contact. We try to send a communication to every single person that enters the portal. Now, it's not always accurate contact information in there. Sometimes there's just an email. Sometimes the phone number's wrong. But we are definitely looking. And the good news is there's a lot of players that want to come to UVU. And so that's exciting. I think that it's, you know, people can see what we're building, and there's an excitement level, not just here in Utah, but down in LA, you know, in the South, in the Northeast, in Chicago, you know, and so there's an interest level nationally for Utah Valley basketball.
That's awesome. I mean, just to see how hard you've been recruiting, especially with the constraints you have. I don't know if you can talk about too much, and if not, it's completely okay. Do you have any status updates for Zach, Moto, or is there any kind of details on that you could be able to share?
I think right now the legal process is moving forward in the legal system, and I think that everybody, including Zach and his family and all of us, would like to see the legal process come to a conclusion. And I do think that process is getting closer. You know, I think it would have been done had the coronavirus not hit. And so I think that has set back the timetable a little bit for coming to the finality of that situation. But I do think it's close.
Coach,
Do you have any idea? Oh, sorry, Kyle.
Go ahead, Ty.
Do you have any idea on what Blaze Neal's eligibility is looking like this season?
Well, I think that that's something that we'll comment on at a later time. But I think one thing that we will look at is trying to look at the number of eligibility years remaining that Blaze has. But I think that'll be something that we comment on as time moves forward. But obviously, Blaze, tremendous talent, really, really talented player. You know, taking some life steps, you know, and you know, we're just excited to have him in the fold.
How nice was it to have a full year to recruit rather than maybe, you know, 4 or 5 months when you first took the job last year? And now you kind of, I mean, we've talked about it. You've added a lot of depth to your team with, you know, the spots you filled. How's that been for you to have that full year to recruit rather than just a couple months?
Well, it's been a lot of fun more than anything, because I enjoy building relationships with players. I mean, that's something I really, really enjoy. I enjoy it more than anything with our current and signed players. I mean, that's something that it's just a great thing that I like, that I enjoy. Secondarily, I mean, I love building relationships with recruits. Now, you don't get every recruit. There's been several situations already where, you know, a player calls me and says, hey, I'm going a different direction. A guy that you've really invested in, seen him 4, 5, 6, 7 times, handwritten letters, text messages, getting to know his family. So that's hard. That's hard when that phone call comes in, but it's understandable. I remember when I committed to Stanford, you know, talking to the other schools, it was UCLA in particular, and just, hey, I'm going a different direction. But the funny thing is my path ended up crossing with every single coach from that UCLA staff over the next few years and over the next 2 decades. And so the relationship isn't lost. Obviously, from a program standpoint, it's, you know, it goes a different direction. But having that time, Kyle, to invest in relationships, to answer your question, starting a year ago, has been huge for us. It's been absolutely huge. And I think that's part of why we were able to sign such a great, talented class of players, you know, within a few days of the date, of the April 15th date.
A lot of these recruits you've mentioned, you know, they play physical, they play hard, they have high motors. And so are you, knowing the type of player you were at Stanford and with the Lakers and so forth, do you try to recruit the same kind of player that you were, or is it a little bit different there?
I mean, I'll never forget, I was at a Stanford basketball camp, and it was a youth camp. And one of the campers raised his hand and asked Mike Montgomery, what is the most important skill you look for in a basketball player? And I was curious. And Mike Montgomery said, shooting. Shooting is the most important skill to look for. And so, I mean, I love guys with a high motor, but it's really special when you get somebody that can shoot with a high motor, that plays with tremendous energy. And I mean, most of the guys we signed are all really good shooters, which is a nice thing to have. Now, there are times when, I mean, look at, and I'll use an example from a few years back in the NBA, but there was a guy, Tony Allen, who could not shoot at all. He could not shoot, but he played a decade in the NBA. People said he was the very best defender. I mean, Kobe Bryant literally said he was the best defender out there. And so you don't have to be able to shoot to play in this system, in this program, but it's a very, very important skill to have.
You know, Coach, through all this recruiting, through all of these thoughts, through all this preparation, this excitement, you know, this momentum that's being built by this coaching staff and these players, you know, are there any worries about basketball next season? Are there any kind of hesitations where you think, you know, what if we don't get basketball next season? What if it looks different? You know, kind of walk us through some of your thought processes there.
Well, I mean, you're hitting on something that is a reality. There's just a huge unknown. I think every program right now is moving forward as if we're going to be playing. You know, I do read the headlines. You know, they're talking about rolling out more testing. The NBA is trying to look at thermal cameras that can determine if someone has a fever. And so do college athletic departments have the budget? If it comes to that, do we have the budget? You know, do we have the cotton swab testing to test every player before every practice and every game? Will it come to that? Will this die down a little bit? I don't know, but I'm an optimist. We have a problem right now in this country with the coronavirus, and people are getting sick, people are dying. So the problem is there. But I'm an optimist that, you know, I'm a big believer in science and figuring out problems. I'm a big believer, forget about science. I love science, but I'm a big believer in problem solving. I think there's a lot of smart people out there that are good at problem solving through science, through chemistry, through different social measures. And so I'm a big believer that good things are going to happen, even though we have a big problem right now.
That's awesome. What are some of the feelings with the players? You know, I mean, obviously as you as a coaching staff, are there any worries that maybe you're trying to kind of quell or take care of?
I mean, we stay in close touch with the players. You know, I talk to all the players individually off and on. And then we talk as a group consistently. We talk as a group consistently. And whether it's myself, when I say off and on, you know, I try to have a personal connection with every guy, you know, consistently. And then we do our own regular Zoom calls also. And we share personal things. We share really personal things. And so I think right now all the guys are doing well mentally and emotionally. Everybody misses basketball. You miss basketball a lot. I talked to Evan yesterday. Hey, Evan, what are you up to? Hey, I'm going for a run. You know, I mean, that shows the guy cares about his conditioning. But I can guarantee to you, Evan Cole, he doesn't want to go run on pavement. He doesn't. He wants to get together in a gym with his buddies that are all great players, and he wants to go up and down, let the emotions get high, and work on his craft.
How do you plan on handling like off-season workouts for now? Like, will you be assigning players each individually their own thing to work on? Like, since you can't be in a group setting right now having team workouts, are you assigning players each their own individual stuff? Kind of, how's that working?
Well, we're in touch with the guys on two levels. Number one, there's a strength aspect, and our strength coach, Matt Flores, I mean, he handles that. And I mean, Matt Flores is a results-oriented strength coach. I mean, the guy has done wonders for our program. He and his wife have just been such a welcome addition to this community. And then from a basketball standpoint, you know, we talk to the guys a lot about basketball. I mean, that's what we do. Not everybody has access to a gym, you know, right now. And so we can't make things mandatory, as you know, I'm sure you guys can understand. But yeah, we want the guys to be out there working and shooting, working on their footwork, all those things.
You mean to tell me that these basketball players don't have the old school, you know, rim and backboard on their driveway that they can go and shoot some hoops without having to go to a gym?
I mean, like I said, Kyle, they don't have a gym. Now they might have that little rickety old basket, you know, at a friend's house. So they might have that. But the good news is our guys, you know, when I talk to them, they're all trying to work out. You know, whether a guy finds a church gym, you know, a blacktop court, you know, guys are resourceful and they find a way to do stuff.
Nice. Well, Coach, do you guys have anything else for him?
Yeah, I got one more.
Yeah, get him.
Go ahead, Micah. Okay. So how has the college game changed from when you were a player at Stanford over 20 years ago to now being, you know, a Division I head coach at a mid-major program? What has really changed in the college game in those 20 plus years?
The game has opened up. The game has really opened up. A lot more three-pointers being shot. You know, back when I played, typically a lot of teams played with two really big, strong guys down low. People don't do that as much. Although Gonzaga does it.
Yeah.
Gonzaga does it. They play with two bigs, traditional bigs. Their record speaks for itself. They've been a top 5 team for the last number of years. UC Irvine does it. UC Irvine perennially wins their conference out in California. We may look at doing it here with the personnel that we have. I mean, you look at the personnel we have. We have the ability to play with two really talented big guys at different times throughout the game. And so I think that's been one of the biggest ways that the game has changed. And to go a step further, Tyler, obviously with the 3-point line being extended out, there's a lot more of a premium on the 3-point shot, which is a blessing and a curse, because guys can fall in love with the 3-point shot and it may not be their shot. You know, it may not be their shot. And so you have to realize, hey, if it is going to be my shot, I've got to work on it and get really good at it.
I think for all us fans out there, excuse me, for all us fans out there, Mike has got one last question about, you know, the upcoming season.
Yeah.
You know, Coach, there's been so much energy at Utah Valley over the last 7, 8, 9 years, especially when it comes to basketball. You know, coaching changes, amazing recruits, but it's been so up and down and so in flux. Can you tell us, give the fans something to be excited for? What can the fans look forward to? What can everybody be excited for? And kind of get on the wagon of Utah Valley and this coaching staff and these players looking forward to the next season?
Well, I mean, first of all, I mean, thank you, Mike. I appreciate those words. Let me share a few things. So when I was announced as the head coach of UVU, I said at my press conference, I said, we want to do everything in our power to have in-state rivalry games. Okay. And this coming season, I'm proud to tell you guys that we've got SUU, coming up. Okay. We've got BYU, we've got Utah. We're working on Weber State. Not sure if we can get Utah State this year, but number one, first and foremost, to have that many in-state rivalry games is a great thing for the game of basketball. I envision going to the arena and seeing the stands packed, whether we're on the road at BYU, whether we're at home against SUU. I envision seeing young kids just running around the arena, watching the game, having a blast. I envision, people in their 70s and 80s, in a wonderful time of life coming out and watching the game. I envision that student section filled to the brim, to capacity, and just the deafening sound of just a full arena. And so it's fun as you see so many people come out to the games. And so that's something. And then really what it comes down to is the players. It's been really fun sharing a little bit of the story of each one of these players that we've signed. I think the very first player we announced was Asa McCord, and his story is very unique. And he has a great story. Then it was Latrey Darthard. He's coming to us all the way from Texas. He had to stop at Hargrave Military Academy back east, and his life experience there and the impact that he had on his basketball program, on his coaches, on the community out there. That's the type of young man Latrey is. And I could go through every single recruit, but the story here is really, this is all about the players. And it's all about the fans and the students. It's about our players having the opportunity to get out and get to know the community. And it's about the community getting to know the players. And we want to marry those two together because it just makes for a really, really fun experience for everybody.
I have to throw out 2 more in-state games, and they're kind of have to play them because Dixie State's in the WAC this year. But you get those 2, you get a home and home with Dixie State that are obviously in-state games, but that renews that junior college rivalry that Utah Valley and Dixie State used to have before Utah Valley joined Division I. So I think we've talked about that a lot, about those in-state games. We're excited that you got all those on the schedule. I mean, those are that's what makes college basketball fun, in my opinion.
Kyle, I agree, and I'm glad you mentioned Dixie State. They have a phenomenal program down there. I mean, you look at what Coach Judkins is doing down there. It's phenomenal. It's off the charts. Their style of play, the players they're bringing in, and obviously I was talking more about the non-conference schedule, but yeah, I mean, to have Dixie State twice, I mean, that's an emotional game. That's and I'll say this, Kyle, even just talking about, even saying the phrase and thinking about the emotion behind a game, I miss it. I know you guys miss it. And Micah, to get back to your question, it's going to happen. I don't know when, but we're going to get sports back. And I need sports. Sports are fun. Let's get back to playing at the right time.
I think we all need sports in our life right now.
Right.
This is true. Well, Coach, appreciate you joining us this morning, taking time out of your day. And we know you got a lot on your plate, and appreciate you joining us on the Green Machine podcast. Like I said, you can follow us on Twitter, One Team All Green. follow UVU men's basketball at UVU MBB. I showed on the screen here. But again, Coach Madsen, thanks for taking your time out of the day. And, hopefully, like you said, there will be sports back and we will have basketball this season.
Thanks so much for having me on, guys. I look forward to seeing you guys around.
Thanks, Coach.
Tyler, give your usual sound off, buddy.
Hey, go Wolverines, baby.
Woo! How do you do that? Am I doing it the right way? Am I doing that the right way?
Turn your hands the other way.
I mean, we can't have these gang symbols.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Coach.
All right, everybody. We love the Wolverines. Go UVU, and we'll see you next time.